Hello, it's that time again, Sunday, tomorrow. The reading this week, or the word this week for Sunday, is love. Thomas Merton writes a lot about love and life. In his writings called The Springs of Contemplation, he shares this: the joy and consolation of our life is realizing that what we have cannot be lost because it is God's. I think that statement could provide a lot of discussion. And if we were sitting next to one another, I might, instead of in little boxes, I might ask you to turn to one another and hash that out. But we're not. I find it offers me a lot of reassurance. I feel as a Christian, my life belongs to God, and by God's grace, I am blessed. Perhaps it's easy for me to accept that at this ripe old age. I don't have the worries of supporting a family in this challenging and difficult time. And I'm not in debt like many young people. So life is a little more secure for me, perhaps. But Thomas Merton's statement makes me think about the commandment of Jesus, the one about love, and of loving God first. If Merton is saying that everything we have belongs to God and came from God, it should be easy to commit to loving God fully, because we have what we have and what we are is God's anyway. So why is it sometimes so hard to let go and let God? What have we got to lose? In John's Gospel, chapter 14, verse 15, Jesus does not give his disciples a wishy-washy commandment. It's straightforward and has expectations attached to it. He says, if you love me. If. It's a little word with a big meaning. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. He doesn't say, well, on some days, if you're feeling like loving me, that's okay. And I know you've got other things on your mind, so if you give me an occasional thought, that's okay also. No. Jesus says, look, folks, this is what is expected. Love is about commitment. And when you say yes to me in your life, although my love is Christ's love is unconditional, and I will still love you, he says, even if you just fit me in occasionally during the week. Of course I'll still love you. Yet I need you to put me first, because when you do, you will then know life and know it in abundance. It's fun to put your own words on what Jesus might have said. Over and above everything else, the most profound message of Easter is that love was stronger than death. God's love for us never ends, and the cross on which the man Jesus died could not kill him and could not kill the message that he came to teach us about. When we consider that gift, that all-encompassing love of God, that great gift of love that we have been given, how can we not but say, hallelujah, praise be. Discipleship, when lived with commitment to truth, justice, and to love, is not easy, especially the bit about love. We are called not only to honor honor and love God, we're called to love our neighbors. And when my retired neighbor, Henry, comes out on a Sunday afternoon when I have just settled down in my porch with a cup of tea, ready to sit and listen to Tapestry on the radio or with my book, and Henry comes out and mows his lawns. And then he comes out with his very noisy leaf blower. Well, my thoughts and feelings towards him are anything but loving. But joking aside, all we have been given comes from God. Life itself is as precious. It's the most precious gift we'll ever get. And we will go back to God when our lives come to an end. But in the middle, folks, we've got work to do. When we die to self and rise again with Christ and fully commit to God's way, we will come to know our true selves as disciples of the living God. And that, my friends, is both a privilege and a responsibility. So I'm going to read you something from Thomas Merton's New Seeds of Contemplation, slightly paraphrased. It goes like this. It is God's love that warms me in the sun, and God's love that sends me the cold rain. It is God's love that feeds me the food I need, and that feeds my soul in the communion meal. It is God's love that sends the winter days when I am cold and sick, and in the heat of summer when my clothes are full of sweat. But it is God who breathes on me with light winds off the river and in the breeze of the woods. God's love spreads the shade of the sycamore above my head and sends the water boy along the edge of the wheat field while laborers are resting and the mules stand under the tree. If God's love that speaks to me in the birds and streams and all these things are seeds to me from God's will, if these seeds would take root in my liberty, and if God's will would grow from my freedom, I would become the love that God is, and my harvest would be God's glory and my joy. Jesus said, if